Good evening, everyone. We'll call this meeting to order. Welcome. We're pleased to have you here for the Board of Selectmen meeting on this May 11th. Before we begin, I would like to take a motion to adjourn the Hometown Hero meeting that we had at 6 o'clock. May I have a motion?
Move that.
Second. Oh, no, we didn't do that. We didn't adjourn the executive. No, we didn't.
We did adjourn the executive.
You're in the executive session, but not the meeting.
We forgot to adjourn
No,
the
we
meeting
have to
before
adjourn
that.
in public the meeting that we
Yes.
had, the Hometown Hero,
Doing
so
this
we'll
right.
just do that.
Yep, I made the motion.
Oh, okay. I seconded that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And with that, we will start the Board of Selectmen meeting that begins at 7. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As we start all meetings, we'll begin with public audience. We welcome speakers to speak for up to 5 minutes, and we look forward to what you have to say. We'll go from this side to this side. Joan?
Thank you. Joan Coe, 26 Whitcomb Drive. I would like to inform this board that my campaign for First Selectman is being embraced by many residents who are encouraged that I would convene a Charter Revision Commission to provide a professional town manager for Simsbury. Many residents are in agreement with me that the Senior Center should remain at Eno Hall, not at the Performing Arts Center. Is First Selectman Lisa Heavner aware that the seniors and rock concerts are not compatible? It appears to me that First Selectman Lisa Heavner is using seniors and the promise of a senior center as a prop to divert taxpayer money to enhance a politically driven private performing arts group with an $8 million building at taxpayer expense. We are not being told that there would be additional expenses for roads and infrastructure in a fragile environmental area. We are not being told that the performing arts site would need to have a pumping station for the sewers since it is below the depth of the sewer storage area. All this costs additional money. Are the seniors aware that First Selectman Lisa Heavner is using the seniors as a pawn to deliver an $8 million to the private performing arts group? Can First Selectman Lisa Heavner give the taxpayers a cost analysis of this entire project? Is it $8 million, $10 million, or $20 million? As taxpayers, we should know the total cost of these politically motivated projects under the guise of a senior center. Please tell us the truth. Since May is National Bike Month, as a candidate for First Selectman, I would like to make a challenge to the Simsbury Free Bike Organization and Patty Jacobus that if elected to the position of First Selectman, I will join her in a 5-mile bike ride on the Simsbury trails. I am concerned that many of the bikers are not adhering to the rules of the road. I have never seen a bicyclist stop at a stop sign required by law. Since many Simsbury roads are narrow and incompatible with bicyclists, safety should be priority 1. When accidents occur with car versus bicyclist, the bicycle always loses. Helmets protect the skull, not the brain. Be safe. Recently, First Selectman Lisa Heavner received 2 lengthy emails from a Simsbury resident alleging that Simsbury's Director of Planning Development, Hiram Peck, has a conflict of interest with town business and his private consulting work as principal at Plan 3 LLC. To date, First Selectman Lisa Heavner has not responded to the allegations. What is First Selectman Lisa Heavner's position on these allegations? Hiram Peck recently went to a conference in Texas sponsored by the Congress of New Urbanism. It is alleged that First Selectman Lisa Heavner has stated that she does not want any staff to go out of state conferences. Did First Selectman Lisa Heavner give Hiram permission to attend the conference against her own policies? According to town records, there were 988 residents that voted on the budget. 988 people voted for a $91,014,736 million operating budget. This is shameful. The bonded projects for capital improvements totaled an additional $6,507,653. Now that there was an appropriation of $1,100,000 for the skating rink and pools, I would urge the Recreation Department to increase revenues to help pay the cost. 728 residents approved this expenditure. The Board of Education should increase revenues for school rentals to help pay for the appropriation of $2,150,000 for air conditioning in all the schools. 742 residents approved this expenditure. Once again, a parent called the police for help with a daughter that just returned from rehab and was using heroin. It appears that heroin is a cheap mechanism for getting high, and short-term rehabilitation does not cure the addiction. Another parent called police for a heroin-addicted child. Both calls were for children in their 20s. Recently, there was a motor vehicle stop where police found crack cocaine, marijuana, and prescription drugs. It appears that drug addiction is epidemic in Simsbury. We need more mental health facilities for long-term care. The Teachers Association will be at the Capitol organizing a major education rally at the state capitol in Hartford at 5 p.m. on Tuesday, May 12th. The rally is to get state lawmakers to reduce excessive testing and create an improved system of school accountability and phase out SBAC testing. Connecticut's obsession with high-stakes testing is dangerous as well as detrimental to students and teachers. Simsbury teachers will be at the rally to express their professional opinions on excessive testing and teacher surveys/tests. I recently took the town hall elevator and saw a notification button for Public Works. Since Public Works is on Town Forest Road, this notification should change. All of my concerns will be posted on Simsbury Patch, Simsbury.com, Simsbury Topics, and on Twitter, and you can look me up on @JoanCo. Joan Coe is the way to go for First Selectman. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Coe. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Mr. Kalishman.
Robert Kalishman, Simsbury. Thank you for allowing me to address the board today. Being in the past that I have been rudely interrupted during my presentation to the public, I will attempt to finish my letter, which I've been cut off 3 times with by a Democrat. We moved to Connecticut 10 years ago. It is a beautiful state, and the number of parks and outdoor opportunities are just wonderful. It does have nice small towns scattered throughout the state, but all as far as it goes for me. I live in Simsbury, where the property tax is oppressive, and then they have the nerve to charge us car and surtax. Trying to find all the benefits of state employees has overtaxed the budget. Benefits need to be in line with employees in the public sector. The cost of living is terrible and the taxes are just unreal. How can this little state have one of the highest gas taxes in the country and our roads be in such a mess and not enough of them? Well, we in Simsbury know that because that finance board we have, they never give us a nickel for the roads. Go out and look at them. I cannot get out of this state fast enough. We retire in 3 years and are moving plans now to leave. Just about everyone I know talking about retirement does not plan on retiring here. And young people are leaving, so who does that leave to pay for everything? Connecticut is a beautiful state, but just not an acceptable choice if you want to keep some of your paycheck. And the people here need to smile once in a while. I have never lived in anywhere I have received so many sarcastic looks because you smile at them. Deborah O'Brien, Simsbury. Good, Debbie. Now, I'd like to more or less pay my condolences with a sad heart to my friend, Tom Herlihy. Tom Herlihy is an ex-state senator. He was a school teacher. Tom Herlihy was an honorable man. And I remember Tom Herlihy, and I remember him for what he did for me and us veterans. Tom Herlihy passed a state law that says it's against the law for anybody, town, religious, or otherwise, private cemetery, to take flowers or flags off the grave of a veteran during a certain time period. It's against the law for anybody to go in and remove a flag or flowers that a loved one has placed on the grave of their loved veterans, who in many cases have made the supreme sacrifice. Mr. Herlihy was right there for us when we needed him. And that was for, and I speak for myself and hopefully all the veterans in Simsbury. Now, to go back to the saddest thing I witnessed last week, or this week, and that's that ballot that was taken on the budget at Henry James School. According to the figures I see here, less than 808 people voted for a budget, for a town budget. And if you can sit there and tell me that you're convinced that this is what the town wants, your budget, Ms. Hefner, you're not telling me the truth. Because how can you state 808 people voted out of 16,000 registered voters, I think? And you're saying that you're going to use that as a barometer? How can you, in good conscience? And then let's go to the next one, 775. But the people that voted against it were like 211. So 211 against 775. You don't have a majority with you. You can holler all you want, but you don't have the town majority. And I'm beginning to wonder if they're really counting the votes right up here. And I can go through all 5 of them. And another thing I should bring to the attention.
Mr. Kalishman, if you could wrap it up about 15 more seconds.
Okay, here we go again.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up with a letter that I wrote, or was written, that I wrote on August 5th, about 5 years ago, to the editor of the Simsbury Life. It is surprising at best, but heartening to read Mr. Dart's letter, July issue, on political people handing out election material for their candidates in the upcoming November 2nd election Memorial Day parade. Is a day to reflect, remember, and honor the veterans who have made the supreme sacrifice for our country.
Mr. Kalishman, you're at 5.5 minutes.
Okay, I'll finish at the next.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
I'll finish it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak?
Can't let him finish what he's saying.
Thank you.
But it's unconscionable that we have to use the Memorial Day parade for your political ambitions, Mr.
Good evening. Chip Houlihan, 2 Somerset Lane. I'm here on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce tonight. And we wanted to give an update on a new feature that the Chamber is having. Health and wellness programs are kind of a common feature of larger companies. Most of the members of the Chamber are much smaller entities. And one of the projects that has been undertaken this year is to develop a health and wellness program so that smaller employers and their employees can participate with others to achieve health goals like stopping smoking, exercise programs, and the like. It's something that we're trying to reach out and get as many people as we can to participate in different events. And with that, the most current upcoming event is this Friday, which is Bike to Work Day, where there'll be, we're trying to tag on with the Simsbury Bike people who have organized this, and there'll be a tent down on Iron Horse Boulevard from, I think, 6:30 to 8:30 for people who, if they live far away from Simsbury, they can at least drive and park in the parking lots, take their bikes, go to the tent, and bike on from there. There's a sign-up sheet. You can get access to it on this new Simsbury Chamber website. The website was recently revised. It's current with a number of activities that are going on throughout the town, so it should be a source of information when people are looking to see what's going on any particular weekend or any particular week. Been a lot of work and effort put into it, and we think it'll be useful to the town and to the residents for keeping abreast of what's happening in town.
Thank you, Chip. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak at public audience at this time? With that, we will move on to presentation. Oh, I'm sorry. Who am I? Oh, you're under presentations. You can speak then if you have something in particular to say, but we're moving on to you next. So we are on to presentations. We have the first presentation. This has come before us in the past. We're grateful that you're here again today. Haley, if you'd come up. We've got the Memorial Day Parade Wounded Warrior Bake Sale.
I'm Haley Latori, and I'm a freshman at Simsbury High School, and I'm 14 years old. For the past 5 years, my friends and I have organized a Wounded Warriors project, Memorial Day bake sale, hosted right in front of Martoccio Music in the parking lot, and I got inspired to participate in this organization from my dad, who is a war veteran, and he really brought light to the fact that there are a lot of people who come back from the war physically and mentally wounded, and they don't know where to go. So this organization is nonprofit, and there's no fees or dues to the wounded veterans who come to them, so they rely solely on donations. And it's really a way for physically and mentally wounded veterans to get back into the workforce, back into their social lives and their lives back at home. And we've raised over $10,000 the past 5 years, and yeah, this is a really important fundraiser to me and my friends, and we'd all love it if you guys can come. So we have it's Memorial Day, and it starts this year at 12:30, and it ends like around after the party ends. So we have bracelets and flyers and pins on the whole place. So.
Thank you, Haley. It's great that you organize this, and we appreciate that you're willing to step up. You see a problem that needs to be met, and you fix it. So we are grateful to you for doing that, and we're so proud of you.
Would you like to demonstrate?
Sure. Thank you. And great job public speaking. It can be hard to do that.
Thank you.
Next, Nancy, I'll let Nancy introduce the next one.
Yes, our next presentation is Sarah Ackles, and she's here to present her project called Sarah Stops Hunger, and it's now an annual event. And she's got a lot of great details to share with you about her success last year and how she's planning to make this year even more successful. So Sarah, take it away.
Hi, thank you for inviting me here today. So like she said, I'm Sarah Ackles, and I co-founded Sarah Stops Hunger with my mom. So this is a quote that really inspired me, and so Gandhi said, "You must be the change that you wish to see in the world," and I've seen hunger, and I'm sure all of you have either seen someone hungry or been hungry once, and I wasn't really going to sit around and wait for someone to feed everyone, because not everybody's going to step up and do that. So right here are the hunger facts of the world, the United States, and Connecticut, and they're pretty high. It's really actually sad how approximately 10 or 13 or 14% of people are hungry and don't have food. And so I'm sure most all of you have skipped a meal or been hungry once, and imagine being hungry all day. At school, you can't concentrate if you're waiting for your next meal. You can't think about what's going on at school if all you can think about is getting food. So I work through Feeding Children Everywhere, and the best part about Feeding Children Everywhere is that it's fun. You honestly wouldn't expect making tons and tons of meals to be fun, but it actually is, and it's an assembly line where you just go down the line and you put rice, lentils, dehydrated vegetables, and pink Himalayan salt into a bag, and then it gets vacuum sealed and sent all over. And I had all the meals for my event go to Connecticut. So last year, this is what my vision was, and so I kept the slide so that. And my goal was to make 12,000 meals, mainly because at Feeding Children Everywhere you need $3,000 to host an event. I recently just found out that 5 or 6 events spurred off of mine, just like I was inspired off of another event. This time, my goal is 25,000 meals.
Wow.
That's a lot, and I can't believe that I'm even aiming for that. So last year I made 17,568 meals. It took 1 hour, and there were 150 people, and we did that at the first church. So There's a fun picture of someone throwing up their hairnets. So Nelson Mandela said, "It always seems impossible until it's done." So my goal last year was to raise $3,000, and I raised over $4,000. So it was amazing, and I didn't think that I was going to be able to do it, but I did. So it was pretty great. So this is what Feeding Children Everywhere uses. So every $1 is 4 healthy meals. So you find quarters on the ground. That's how much one meal costs. You have quarters in your pocket and in between the cushions in your couch. Imagine if all of those quarters that you just find laying around could go and make a tangible difference. Thank you so much for having me, and my website is sarahstopshunger.com.
Well, thank you, Sarah. That was outstanding.
I just wanted to reiterate what Sarah had mentioned, and that was that the meals that she makes stays in Connecticut, and I think that's pretty neat. So she's helping a lot of families locally, and I think that's very important. And you go to Sarah's website and make a donation and help her reach her goal this year.
Or you can also sign up to volunteer.
Sign up to volunteer and get a hairnet.
And get a hairnet. You can take it home with you.
It's fantastic.
Thank you, Sarah. Great job.
That was great.
Very,
very cool.
great PowerPoint. We like the graphics. We'll have to check in with you, and you can show us how to do that.
Seriously.
With that, we'll move on to the first Selectmen's report. My name is Lisa Hevner. It's pronounced Hevner, like heaven. I would.
Been working on that all week, haven't you?
Some people
pretty good,
mispronounce it. It's been reported, people say it differently all over the place. I want to first thank the voters of Simsbury for coming out to the referendum vote. We did have a turnout of 6.26%, so pretty low turnout. Of those who did turn out, 82% did vote in favor of the town budget. So thanks those who exercised their democratic right to vote. By charter, that is our course of business that we follow, and the budget is now not mine. It is not the Board of Selectmen's, but it is the people's budget. So congratulations on passing the budget. We are fortunate to have town employees who show dedication to their town and to their craft on a daily basis, and tonight I'm very pleased to let the Board of Selectmen know that Mike Wallace, our golf course superintendent, has just received his designation as a certified golf course superintendent from the Golf Course Superintendents Association of America for the 8th time. This is a tremendous honor. To obtain it, Mike had to participate over 150 hours of continuing education and professional development over a 5-year period. Mike is one of 1,500 certified golf course superintendents, and we'd like to congratulate him and thank him for this significant achievement. I wanted to let folks know that the town is hosting a regional household hazardous waste collection on Saturday, June 13th, 2015 at the Public Works facility. This will be done between 8 and 12. If you would like information on this program, you can go to our website, Public Works and Grounds, pages, bulky waste recycling, or contact Simsbury Public Works Department at 860-658-3222, or the Simsbury Landfill at 860-658-9481. I wanted to remind you that Simsbury developed this program, and thanks to Tom Roy, who is here with us today, as a low-cost alternative to the MDC collection program. Because Simsbury is no longer participating with the MDC collection, Simsbury residents can no longer bring their household waste to any MDC household hazardous waste collections, but we do offer this for you on June 13th, and we look forward to seeing you. I'm also pleased, thank you, Sean, for alerting the Board of Selectmen that to announce that according to CT Now's the Best of Hartford Readers Poll for 2015, Simsbury was awarded the best dog park, #1 for 2015. So anyone who has been there knows what a great park it is. Again, it was an initiative done by volunteers who saw a need, and instead of complaining, stepped up and said, we'll fix this, we'll raise money, let us help. And I think Sarah and Haley are great examples of that. You see a problem, don't complain about it, come up with a solution and do it. Just like it seems impossible until it's done, right? And I think they found that as well. So I want to congratulate the the founders of the Palmetto Dog Park and those who use it every day. So congratulations on that. Finally, I wanted to thank Westminster students and the Westminster School. We are fortunate that Westminster School and its students continue to play an active role in our community. Most recently, a Westminster community group known as SON, serving our neighbors, prepared printed stuff, donated paper and stamps, a letter to Simsbury veterans providing them with details about the Memorial Day Parade. That's about 900 letters, so we are very grateful to them. I would like to thank Westminster, the students, and Headmaster William Phillip for their part in making the Memorial Day an event. We can't have a great and successful Memorial Day Parade if we don't let our veterans know. So thank you for that. That's a big chore and it's a big financial commitment, so we're grateful to them. And with that, we will move on to action items. Sarah, you are welcome to stay as long as you want, but
No pressure.
but if you want to leave, we will not be offended. You can stay for a little bit, because this next one is really riveting.
Vote no.
May I please have a motion to approve tax refunds per the attached printout in the amount of $971.25?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Not ready to mess with Colleen yet.
Right. Chicken.
One of these times. Be careful.
As you, during the Hometown Hero event, we had a motion to move into executive session to discuss a heart and hypertension claim. I have before you a motion to approve a proposed settlement in the amount of $210,000 to fully and finally settle a heart and hypertension claim filed by retired Town of Simsbury Police Officer John Mimna. The amount so approved will be paid over time. I would ask for a further motion to forward this matter to the Director of Finance and the Board of Finance for a final determination as to the source of funds to fund the settlement amount.
I move that.
May I have a second? Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. You have before you a request from Mr. Bruce Kaplan for Eno parking permission effective June 1st, 2015 to December 1st, 2015. He has come before this board on multiple occasions over past years to get permission to use Eno parking for all Iron Horse Boulevard events and all concerts from June 1 to December 1, 2015. We, of course, will not use the parking lot at any time when there is an event at Eno Hall. May I have a motion to approve the request of Bruce Kaplan for Eno parking permission effective June 1st, 2015 to December 1st, 2015.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion passes. Tonight, we have before you a motion to approve the request of the Aging and Disability Commission to designate the month of June 2015 as Handicap Parking Awareness Month, and I'd like to turn it over to Cheryl to introduce Mike Jennings, who is here on behalf of the Aging and Disability Committee. Cheryl.
Thank you. As the Board of Selectmen liaison to the Aging and Disability Commission, I'd like to welcome Mike Jennings here this evening to discuss with us Handicap Parking Awareness Month, and I'd like to welcome the other members of the Aging and Disability Commission who have come out tonight in support of this very important action.
Yes, let me say, I don't know. Sarah is a difficult one to follow.
It's true.
It's a great job. Simsbury is addressing the needs of legal users of handicap parking spaces by designating June as a handicap parking awareness month. In this month, the Simsbury Police Department will work with the Aging and Disability Commission and members of the business community to help educate motorists and prevent and enforce violations. I just want to say this is a real need. handicap parking, I can personally attest people who have difficulty walking or can't walk at all like myself really need proper handicap space parking. If someone just is in the handicap space even a little bit, I can't deploy the ramp from my van to get back in. On a number of occasions, I've come out of a store to find that I'm blocked. I can't get back in my van. So this is a real need. So though people with disabilities may not be able to walk well or walk at all, we do spend money. I know in my case, for places where I run into problems getting parking, let's say either a delivery or a service vehicle is parked in the space, I just never go back. And I'm sure other people feel the same way. I think that's it. So again, in June, we'd like to try to address this issue.
Mike, would it be okay if I held up the poster so everybody can see? The lines are included. That's what's important for somebody to be able to get in and out of a van. So it's not just parking in the space, it's parking in the lines.
Yeah, so sometimes people do pull into the stripe lines and park there, and that makes it hard for the people who need to get out of their vehicles to get out. So please don't park in the space or the stripes. That's a great point.
And then a number of times I recorded 25 in 4.5 years, 25 times I've not been able to get in my van because someone is in those spaces. So it does happen quite a bit.
All right. Well, thank you for raising this this area of concern, and I think because we are designating June as Handicapped Awareness Parking Month, that hopefully people will start paying attention to this, and thank you for bringing this to the public's attention. And with that, may I please have a motion to designate June 2015 as Handicapped Parking Awareness Month?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Passes unanimously. Tom, I wasn't sure where we are with the ISCC.
We should have Chip Houlihan here. Let's check it.
No, we did not.
No, okay.
So this has been a very late developing issue. We're doing what we can to accommodate ISCC on this.
We did not have, I apologize, there was no information to give to the board earlier. I am seeing it for the first time as you are.
You'll see this letter's dated today, and I think Chip was waiting for a final set of documents to review. They've gone back and forth with council. That notwithstanding, Chip, I think the things are close, so why don't you, if you would, just explain where we are. The other thing I should note is that Bobby Crescenzo was conflicted out and representing the town on this, so Chip, who's represented us on other matters in that situation, is retained to work for us on this matter. Thanks, Chip.
The skating center is essentially refinancing the debt that incurred in the construction costs a long time ago to obtain the benefit of the lower interest rates now. They also have two other skating centers. It's a total package of less than $10 million, 3.7 of which is related to the Simsbury facility. Because the Simsbury facility can only secure the Simsbury-related debt, the loan package has been restructured so that the Simsbury property will not serve as collateral for the two other skating facilities. There are, so the loan documents have been reworked over the last couple of weeks. The two issues remain. One, we're still waiting to see the final loan documents to make sure that all the changes have been made so that it secures only the Simsbury debt. The ground lease imposes a valuation requirement that the value of the loan cannot exceed the value of the improvements. This proposal satisfies that. I should say that under the terms of the ground lease, the only kind of financing that can occur that uses the facility as collateral is one that has to be approved by the town. And there are a number of conditions, one of which is the valuation, and the 3.7 million is less than the 4-point-something value of the assets. The other aspect relates to the term of the loan compared to the term of the lease. The ground lease was originally a 25-year primary term. That expires in 2019, so there are 4 additional years. The proposed loan is a 10-year term loan. The ground lease says that we cannot, that the loan has to be amortized within the remaining balance of the lease. So the question is, well, how do we accommodate that? One answer would be to cause the lease to be extended now. But the lease also has very strict limitations on the renewal of the lease or the exercise of the option for the next 10-year period. It has to be exercised not more than 2 years nor less than 1 year before the lease expires. So the lease expires in 2019. They would have to make their decision in 2017 at the earliest. So they're not, under the terms of the ground lease, are not in a position to give us notice to accelerate, to extend the option. This issue came up a few years ago when they put solar panels on the property. And the life of the solar panels exceeded the term of the lease. And one of the obligations in that agreement was that the skating center agreed to extend the term of the lease when the time comes due. And if they don't, then the town has the opportunity to tell them to remove it or to accept it. So we can do a number of things to deal with this term. One would be for the board to vote to waive the 2-year maximum renewal time and allow the skating center to exercise that first 10-year option now. Another would be if the lender were to make the renewal a condition of the loan, so that if they did not renew, then the loan would become due and be paid during the term. And because they would have to make that decision at least a year in advance, there would be time to work that out. And because all of these discussions have happened in the last couple of weeks, that last issue on what the lender would prefer, what the borrower would prefer, and what the town would prefer, haven't really had time to get circulated and decided, as with your receiving the letter tonight. The skating center, if given the opportunity, would exercise the option to extend now. So then the lease term would go from 2019 to 2029. They would still have further extensions thereafter, but that first 10-year extension would satisfy the permitted mortgagee provision in the ground lease.
Chip, just to clarify, this is a refinance of an existing loan. It's not adding additional debt to the IOCs.
That's correct.
Okay.
But it is changing the term of the original debt.
Yes, it is.
So when is the original debt set to expire?
I'm not sure of
And their primary function of doing this is to take advantage of a lower interest rate, which will obviously benefit them, which is a good thing.
Yes.
But it will extend the date of when they pay it off because of the
Yes.
refinance.
The current loan would terminate before 2019, and I'm not sure whether that is whether it's, I don't think it's fully amortized, it would be a bullet loan.
It's a 10-20, so automatically at the end of this, it would go for another, we would re-up for another 10 years. Obviously, I'm Bob Crawford, one of the owners. We're looking to take advantage of the mortgage rates because our business is very competitive, and things like being able to offer a lower hourly rate to our customers are something that we're always looking to do, whether it be putting solar panels on our roof to create our own energy, or extending, we're actually not extending the terms of the loan, but we're going to go into a new 10-year loan, hopefully this week. That'll allow us to basically have our debt paid off in 10 years. That's the idea behind it, taking advantage of the current low interest rates, which they tell us aren't going to last forever, and we appreciate anything that you could do to help us, because it'll help our customers.
And doing this would take care of the question of the solar panels also, I assume.
We actually don't own the solar panels. It's owned by a Simsbury company.
Yeah, I know,
but we agreed to buy all of their electricity forever, basically. So yes, it would.
So it would answer the question of extending the lease, so you wouldn't have to worry about that when it comes up.
We fully intend to.
Okay.
Our goal is to be here till forever.
Good.
Tom, what are the renewal provisions of the lease? I mean, what would we be looking at if we were going to renew the lease?
There was, as I think Chip described, there was an option for renewal that the skating center would have, and he just gave us the terms. It has to be between 2 years and 1 year from the termination.
So I get that. I guess what I'm looking at is...
The only condition they have to meet is to be in compliance with the terms of the lease.
That's it. So no financial review, no review of okay.
None of that.
Just trying to understand if we opted to do that tonight, what are we waiving the right of?
Well, the bank is the one making the loan, so they've done the financial review. Fairly extensive, I understand.
Oh, I'm sure.
And one of the things that we, in the letters that we're getting from the bank is their representation based on their investigation that the revenues are sufficient to amortize the loan over the 10-year course.
And there aren't any other terms in the lease that would have to be renegotiated or amended or anything at the time of the renewal?
No.
Should it have occurred at the time anticipated?
Right. If they have the right to renew it on the terms of the ground lease for 10 years, the only thing holding them back from renewing it is that they can't do it for another couple of years. So if the board were to waive that maximum time, then they would renew it now.
So we have in your letter that we don't have a final document package to review at this time, and this may change before the meeting begins. I'm assuming we don't have the final document package to review at this point. So no, are you requesting no action then for tonight?
It's hard to come out with final action before the final document's there.
Okay.
The issue on the renewal is available for consideration, and I think my primary concern in reviewing the loan documents was to ensure that the Simsbury mortgage only, related to the Simsbury debt, and that it did not secure any of the other skating centers' debt. And we're substantially toward that goal.
Well, I would say thank you for bringing this, and thank you ISCC for bringing this. I think in general I'm very supportive of this. We'd like to support our local businesses and look forward to seeing the final documents. I'd ask for other comments at this point, because I don't think we can act without.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if you need something from us that says, subject to the final documentation, we would support extending the, do you need that for the bank to finish the loan?
we're going to need board approval so that the bank qualifies as a permitted mortgagor. The bank makes certain representations to us. We in turn make representations to the bank that the loan is in full compliance. We could make a conditional approval and a conditional option to extend if the board wanted to do that in this.
What's your deadlines that you're working with?
We did our closing for, I own 2 other rinks, Bolton and Cromwell, today, and the lawyers that were normally represent the town just told me to show up here today with our lawyer.
And so you did.
I did. And I apologize, I didn't know. They told me there was the issue of the extending the ground lease, which was not up to me, it's up to you, because I'll do whatever is best for you. Ready to commit. And the other was the personal guarantees. They're now, originally they were tying them all together, now they're not. And I personally guaranteed the Bolton note and the Cromwell note on their own, and Simsbury will be guaranteed on its own.
So your time frame, though, you mentioned could be in a week's time.
We were told we're going to close tomorrow.
So if we don't do this tonight, you can't close tomorrow.
Well, yeah, and part of our issue is, and I don't do this normally, but the
Neither do
bank
we.
didn't notice the, it's different. And, the bank didn't notice the town lease provision until probably 2-3 weeks ago.
Damn underage.
And unfortunately, rates have gone up, and every day it looks like they're going up, so the sooner that we can close, the better, because it makes our business more profitable.
I mean, I certainly would not be in favor of closing before council feels comfortable having reviewed the documents, and we cannot close until council has seen the documents, and we do not have those documents yet. So that would be my first thing I would say. But
and I think there are 2 conditions that we're concerned about. One, to make sure that the Simsbury mortgage does not encumber anything beyond the Simsbury-related debt. Right. And the language has been substantially taken out to avoid the cross-collateralization, which was the initial problem. The reason Bob mentioned guarantees is I haven't seen the guarantees yet. I assume the guarantees, personal guarantees, covered all 3 of the loan packages. They may have unscrambled that so that there's a guarantee for just the Simsbury debt, in which case the fact that the mortgage secures that guarantee would be just fine. But I haven't seen the guarantees, and I want to make sure that they are restricted just to the Simsbury debt.
Are those the only issues outstanding, Chip?
Those are the only 2 issues outstanding. The term, which we could go forward and have we could waive the renewal time frame if we chose. And the other is satisfaction that
they don't pay taxes. They pay in lieu of taxes.
It's just Simsbury-related debt secured by the mortgage.
So, I mean, we have made motions where we have said upon approval of the town attorney type of a thing. So, in terms of being able to expedite this, but with caution, and I think we would be doing that if we made a motion of that nature.
Can I just ask a really dumb question before you make that motion?
Yes.
No, I wasn't going to.
Okay.
It was just other comment just to say I think, helping to make a Simsbury business, more whole and sustainable and viable, if this loan allows them to do that, I think it's a great idea.
Again, I have no qualms. Chip, this is the dumb question. Are you here for us or them?
For you.
Okay.
Yes.
I wasn't sure.
He's playing the role of Bob.
I wasn't sure. I missed that part.
no, that's actually a very good question. Good to clarify for the public. He is
wanted to
the
make sure,
town's
'cause I'm-
representative.
Never know. Again, I appreciate it.
When Bob said he was told to be here, it wasn't
With
by
his
him.
attorney.
We're talking about town attorneys that are here, and I just
No. Our
just
town-
wanted to make sure.
just
That's
to
what I
clarify,
assumed, but
Bob DiCrescendo is conflicted out of this representation.
Thank you. That's the
So
story I
we have hired
missed.
Mr. Houlihan to handle the town's representation in this matter.
Updike Kelly represents TD Bank, which is the finance, which is the bank for this.
now, see, it was a stupid question. Now it's not. I
Yeah,
appreciate
you should have
it.
explained that.
I have two ways that I'm thinking we can go with this. I am uncomfortable giving them, although I want the skating center to be, frankly, not more solvent, but easier to pay your bills. And a lower interest rate helps you guys out a huge amount, especially with these kind of dollars. But until we see the document, I'm really uncomfortable even conditionally approving something. But I personally would be, not personally, as a Board of Selectmen, I would be willing, gotta clarify that, to support not extending the ground lease at this point, but revisiting that issue. But I want them to be able to close, because I agree, every day the interest rate goes up, it doesn't help them.
Well, we could schedule a special meeting if people are available once we have the document review and get that done to accommodate.
That's an option, too.
When do you anticipate that's going to happen?
I expect that after tonight's meeting, I should have the documents on my desk.
Of course. Never fails.
So we would need 24 hours to give notice to schedule the meeting. That's our only constraint, because it would be a special meeting, does require 24 hours notice with the town clerk.
Let me ask a question, though. I mean, you're going to review that, provided the conditions come out the way we've articulated tonight. We're going to do nothing more than say aye at that meeting, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
Yeah.
the one issue and I don't know how TD Bank North wants to do it, it goes to this renewal. Does the board want to jump the gun and accept the renewal in 2015 instead of waiting until 2017? Possibly. Or do we keep that in place and structure into the loan agreement that they're in default if they don't renew the lease? Those are kind of the either or.
Those are policy decisions for this board.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
I imagine that'll make the bank
we would need to give you
uncomfortable.
direction
Yes.
before we made any motion.
Sean just said, well.
I mean, that'll make the bank uncomfortable, I assume. The bank's going to want us to extend the lease at this point, right? That's the cleanest way to do this?
They would.
Yeah.
And we can't approve a lease until we're satisfied that the debt can be amortized within the remaining term. So this wouldn't be paid off in 4 years. However, if it's a condition of the loan, then the bank would call it due if they didn't renew within the renewal period.
Let me ask a hypothetical question. If we were to make a motion to potentially approve extending the lease if the terms on the loan were acceptable to us, that gets us partway there.
It does.
And gives them some daylight and the skating center. And then we can hold a special meeting to do it, and they know what our intention is.
Thanks, not
Would that be helpful to you?
Yeah,
to get you partway
anything
there.
that can help the process. It's just, it looks like rates are going higher every day, so.
I hear you.
It was much easier. We thought we were going to close a month ago.
No, we appreciate that. I hope you can understand, though, as a
I
public
fully
body, we have
understand, I
to.
support what you're doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not a reflection of not a desire, but we do have to do it openly, publicly, and protecting the town's interest. And
Oh,
it's
we
hard to do
understand.
without the documents in front of us. That's all.
So just a very logistical question. I mean, are we available
Friday?
Thursday or Friday to get, to have a meeting?
I can be for this.
Yeah, I assume it's going to be brief.
Wow, I take that back.
Do a 7:30 in the morning
I
meeting.
have baby CPR at Thursday, so that's. My wife will divorce me if I don't show up for that.
Yes. And I would be, yes.
Do it in the morning.
You cannot miss that. We could do a 7:30 in the morning meeting.
Can we do it in the morning instead of in the evening?
I can
Because
do
I
it.
have an evening meeting Thursday, too.
Yeah, I can do.
Is that amenable?
EDC is Thursday morning, just
I think it will
FYI.
take 5 minutes.
EDC can wait.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just saying.
this is like
7
going-
a.m. did we
this is
say?
big even
7?
thing for EDC.
7?
That's right.
I'm thinking.
Then we can notice it tomorrow. That gets us within the notice
Right.
provisions. I mean, I think we're all in support of this. We just need to.
Well, yeah,
I think
so
we
we
all are.
can notice it, we can do it at 7 o'clock in the morning on Thursday.
We will be sure to notice a
Get your
special
guys your-
meeting for Thursday, 7:30 a.m. to finally resolve this issue.
And we'll take all motions then? Does that make sense?
I would hold motions until then, I think.
Let TD Bank know. We've set our date. Get them the paperwork.
All right. So
Is it in my phone right
Thank
now?
you, Chip.
with that, well, we don't need a motion. We'll just go ahead and set a special meeting. Okay. All right. Thank you, Chip. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you.
We're moving as fast as we can. We're a slow mover as a municipality. Sorry about that.
Guys.
Okay.
If we co-sign.
Jeff is here. Okay, so Jeff, come on up. We have before us a motion to authorize the acceptance of a $150,000 steep grant for funding to construct the Simsbury Veterans Memorial, and a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the first selectman to enter into the grant agreement with the state of Connecticut. I do want to just speak to this quickly. As you know, the town of Simsbury was very pleased to apply for the steep grant. Only municipalities can apply for it to the state of Connecticut, and the state grants the steep grants. Towns must prioritize as to which projects to support and to apply for, and this board unanimously decided to apply for the steep grant for the Veterans Memorial and not any others, so that this would get the full attention. The grant we'll be receiving today, $150,000, will go entirely to the Veterans Memorial. So this is using your tax dollars. The steep grant comes from tax dollars of Simsbury, just from the state coming back to us, and so your tax dollars will be put to the Veterans Memorial, and we're very pleased and grateful to Representative Hampton and Senator Witkos for applying for this grant on behalf of the town, and to the Board of Selectmen for authorizing the application of the grant, and to our veterans, of course, who are here today, for working with us to get this done, and we're so pleased to be able to provide you with the support for the veterans, and we're very excited about the next few months to come. So Jeff, would you like to speak to this?
This is pretty straightforward. We've received the city or the town state agreement from DEP. DEP is going to be administering this grant. It's for $150,000, basically for construction and design related services that are necessary for the project. This is a portion of the funding. The other portion will be provided from the Veterans Memorial Committee, and we're working those details out, I think, as probably we speak. This item again authorizes acceptance of the grant and also approves a resolution provided by the grant administrative agency authorizing the first selectman to enter into an agreement. Just a general update on the project. We've received fairly complete plans from the landscape architect that has kindly donated their services to the project. We're reviewing those plans as we speak. As part of the grant agreement, the town would be required to actually bid the project in an open and competitive manner. So we're working on a bid package right now to hopefully get this thing out to bid once we get the executed agreement back from the state. We cannot expend funds until the signed agreement is in place. So we're hopefully working those two processes in parallel.
I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at the state of Connecticut. They're going to make us bid a free design. That's just wonderful.
They are. I think we can work with that through creative, I guess, specification writing. I think we'll get what the veterans want and also get compliance with the agreement.
I'd like to see us get there.
We're all looking.
Let us know if
forward
we
to it.
don't. We'll
Yeah.
give the state their money back and do it right.
So with that, we'll take two motions tonight. The first, may I please have a motion to authorize, excuse me, may I please have a motion to authorize the first selectman to accept a $150,000 steep grant for funding to construct the Simsbury Veterans Memorial.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. And Jeff, you keep an eye, make sure I get this right. May I please have a motion to approve the resolution listed on the attached sheet and read into the minutes, beginning with resolved that Lisa Hevner, and you also need to read the paragraph in addition.
I'll move that.
Okay, can you go ahead and read that, please?
Of course. Resolved that Lisa L. Hevner, first selectman of the town of Simsbury, be and hereby is authorized to execute on behalf of the town of Simsbury a grant agreement with the state of Connecticut for financial assistance to complete improvements of the Veterans Memorial Steep 2015-01. In addition, that Lisa L. Hevner is hereby authorized to enter into such agreements, contract, and execute all documents necessary to said grant with the state of Connecticut. Be it further certified that Lisa L. Hevner was appointed first selectman and her term of office began on January 3rd, 2015 and will continue until December 7th, 2015. As the first selectman, Lisa L. Hevner serves as the chief executive officer for the town of Simsbury, and on May 11, 2015, Lisa L. Hevner, in case we're not sure, had both the authority and the office to sign on behalf of the town of Simsbury a grant agreement for financial assistance to complete improvements to the Veterans Memorial dated at Simsbury, Connecticut, this 11th day of May 2015.
Thank you, Sean.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Okay, yes, congratulations. That's fantastic.
Thank you, guys.
More than deserved.
Yeah, thank you. And I know you guys are really looking forward to staying for the rest of the meeting, so I welcome you. Moving on to another action item, we have acceptance of Neighborhood Design Facilities Bond Fund, funding for design services for the Senior Community Center. I just would like to thank again State Representative Hampton for his work in getting this money, and the amount is $204,000 from the state of Connecticut for design of the Senior Community Center. We have two motions again. The first is I would ask for a motion to move to authorize the first selectman to accept the $204,000 state grant for funding of the Senior Community Center.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The second one, you have on your certified resolution, I think it's on the second page at the back.
Yeah.
May I have a motion approving the resolution contained in your packets, beginning with resolved and read into the minutes?
Move that.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Punishment tonight.
Resolved that Lisa L. Hevner, who is the first selectman of the town of Simsbury, is empowered to enter into and amend contractual instruments in the name and on behalf of the contractor with the Department of Social Services of the State of Connecticut for a neighborhood facilities program and to affix the corporate seal. In witness whereof, the undersigned has affixed her signature and the corporate seal of the contractor this 11th day of May 2015.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Before you tonight, you have a joint project by Public Works and our town engineer to look into a mutual exchange of property between the town of Simsbury and the state of Connecticut to provide a continuous right-of-way on Town Forest Road so that they can go forward with the project to install a gas line. It's an interesting situation. The road is actually owned by the state of Connecticut, but we have for the past 10 years maintained it and plowed it and done everything as if it were our road. And so the state has been very...
Are we going to charge them?
We have not.
Get on it.
I'm on it.
There a bill?
I might authorize you.
And so what's coming before you, in order to proceed with the CNG, which is Connecticut Natural Gas, installation of a gas line, we do need to do this land swap so that we have the authority to authorize CNG to actually do the work. So I would ask Jeff, to explain some of the details there and some of the opportunities that the town has with this project.
Sure. So this project actually started before I came on board with the town. So we've been working on this for at least over a year. It involves basically the land swap of Town Forest Road, which is approximately 10.1 acres, for two pieces that are contiguous with the Massaco State Forest that are 1.69 acres and 4.9 acres. So it's about 6.6 acres in total that we're giving the state for 10.1 acres of Town Forest Road. The state's interested in that land because it is contiguous with the forest. It's located south of Nimrod Road, if you know the dirt portion of Nimrod. Right in that general location is where there's two triangles of land that would go to the state, and we would acquire, again, Town Forest Road parcels. The gas company has agreed to extend the main at no cost to the town if, in fact, we own the land, similar to any municipal roadway, where they have a right to go into the right-of-way, and they don't normally charge customers for that particular service. That's amortized over the life of the system, so to speak. So we've been working with town attorney, title companies, state DEP, who's facilitating transfer, and trying to work through some details. And we think we're at a point now where we're comfortable moving forward with the transfer, and the town attorney is comfortable with moving forward with the transfer.
Could you speak to the land? The land we would transfer, that wouldn't impact our access to the Ethel Walker property, right?
It would not. These are separate parcels of land that I don't believe actually touch the Ethel Walker parcel. So no, there would be no impacts to our Ethel Walker land.
And this was approved by the Planning Commission, right? That was what...
There was an 8-24 referral to the Planning Commission. They gave a favorable approval of the transfer. That occurred in April.
Yeah, I think you have the minutes attached.
Yeah, we just want to make sure we mention that. Right. Need a motion to approve the...
Well, we received an updated motion from, who is it from, DEP?
Town attorney.
Town attorney. And if you could let us know what you're expecting us to read into the minutes, that would be helpful.
Do we have copies of that time?
Yes.
Yeah.
They roll ahead.
Does the whole resolution need to be in?
There's no specific requirements to read it in, per my understanding of the transaction.
You don't have to read this into the record.
So you can just, I think, vote
But you
on it.
will all have to sign it tonight.
Yes.
Oh, wait a minute.
So then with that, we could have a motion to authorize the first selectman to move forward with the proposed mutual exchange of property between the town of Simsbury and the state of Connecticut pursuant to the resolution in the minutes. And then, is that good enough?
The replacement resolution, yeah.
The replacement resolution in the minutes that you have in your packet.
Yes.
And it was just some minor changes to the language from the one that was included in your original package.
I move that.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And then after the meeting, if we could just stay and sign it.
Oh, he's already...
Oh, he's okay, you got it, never
Okay.
mind. I'll do that now.
Might as well do it now.
Yep.
Mike signing a copy will have that come around,
Yep.
so you all can sign. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Now people are giving us money, right?
Okay. Coming before us on item I is acceptance of a donation in the amount of $7,500. I saw Pete. Oh, there he is. I didn't see you back there. From Pete Prouda for improvements at the Simsbury Farms Golf Course. We are so pleased to have you here and appreciate the donation. The donation will be used for tree replanting and other improvements at the Simsbury Farms Golf Course. Many trees were there that were part of the Oracle Farms orchard that have died over time or are deteriorating. This generous donation will help address that issue, and I'd invite Jerry up to speak to this.
Thank you, Lisa. Yeah, just to reiterate, Mr. Proud is a longtime resident and avid golfer at Simsbury Farms, and this is actually the second time that he's approached us and made a significant donation to the golf course. I am allowed to tell you that this is in honor of his birthday. I'm not allowed to tell you how many.
When is the birthday, Pete?
End of June.
All right.
Okay. And he has let us know that significant work should be taking place by then, so we'll be moving on this. But it's a very, very generous offer, and we've talked back and forth about what really what could help us and what could help the course, as you said. 40-some years ago when the course was built in the former Oracle Farms orchard, it was a very different, site up there, and, losing the trees over the years has affected the design and really the character of the course. So we've worked, over the years trying to, reinstitute that, but, a gift like this from Pete is just really, really big, and, we're very, very grateful for it, and, wish him, many, many more happy birthdays. We'll be working with on, for the next one. So, but it's very, very, very generous, and I want to thank you and
Recognize you. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it very much.
Yeah, I think this goes to, we're seeing a theme here tonight. So many people have come before us, instead of with complaints or criticisms, just willing to step up, fix something, make the community better. And we're so proud to have you as a member of this community, along with those others who have donated their time and their efforts. So with that, may I please have a motion with our thanks to accept the donation in the amount of $7,500 from Peter Prouda for improvements at the Simsbury Farms Golf Course.
I will make that motion.
And I will second it with our thanks.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Jerry, why don't you stay up there? Because we have before you, again, another donation, very generous community. Acceptance of a donation in the amount of $3,477 from the Simsbury Farm Men's Golf Club. This donation will be used to purchase a brush unit to assist the maintenance operation of Simsbury Farms. And I'm sure we all know what a brush unit is, but in case there are one or two people who don't know what that is, maybe.
It's a unit that actually helps our guys in the top dressing process that we do, which improves the condition of the greens. And for guys like Pete that play up there a lot, they can certainly tell you that it does add a lot. And I should say too, the men's club, about 15 or so years ago, approached us. Tom Wolf at the time was the new president, and said he really wanted to create more of a partnership between the men's club and the town. And since then, they've made just yearly donations, things that we might not be able to fund, or things like this that will help us out. Some things that are very visible on the course as well. But it's been really a big help to us, and every year they step up and ask what they can do to help us. So we're very, very grateful to the men's club, for their continued generosity. This will certainly help Mike and his staff, and again, one more step in making the course a little bit better.
Well, thank you. Please pass along our thanks on behalf of the Board of Selectmen. Again, very generous, and we're very grateful. May I have a motion to accept the donation in the amount of $3,477 from the Simsbury Farm Men's Golf Club to the Simsbury Parks and Rec?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
Jerry, just stay right there, because we'll go on to...
I need to do this. We've got a summer solstice.
Yeah, we've got some exciting events before you. Before you, we have two public gathering permits for you to consider. We'll do it in two motions. The first is the second annual Summer Solstice Wellness Event on the Flower Bridge on June 20th from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. All public gathering approvals have been secured for that event. And an application for a party at the PAC for May 29th. We've got Dave Ryan here for that, subject to public gathering approvals. Mr. Ryan is here to explain that. Jerry, how do you want to...
Yeah, why don't I
start with Summer Solstice?
I can do the first one, yeah. This
Sure.
is actually the second year that the Journey of Yoga has done this event. They did it last year on the Flower Bridge. What I understand was very successful. They're scaling it back a little bit this year in terms of the time frame they're doing it. It's on June 20th. They're going from 7 a.m. To 1 p.m. I believe there's also an email attached from Melody Hillman of Journey of Yoga outlining the event. They've been in touch with the Flower Bridge committee, and there will be a donation made to the Flower Bridge folks for using that, and they will also provide any of the site services that are needed for the event. So again, it seemed to be very successful last year, and hopefully get a nice turnout for this year as well.
Does anyone have any questions on the Summer Solstice for Jerry at this point? With that, I will take a motion to approve the second annual Summer Solstice Wellness Event on the Flower Bridge on June 20th from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m.
So moved. I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously. And then we'll go on to the second party at the PAC for May 29th.
I'll turn that over to Mr. Ryan.
Thank you, Jerry.
Take it away.
Dave Ryan, 20 West Ledge. I'm the president of Simsbury PAC, Inc. On the 29th of May, we have a new local promoter who is proposing to put a smaller event on at the Performing Arts Center. The talent will be Reiser and O'Brien, which is our most successful band at Septemberfest for the last, 8 or 10 years. They were Simsbury people. One of them now still lives in Simsbury, I believe. But anyway, it's a very, very successful band, and they're going to have a small event where they think that they're going to sell tickets should attract 500 to 1,000 people. They're going to put a nightclub-like setup inside the stone wall at the Performing Arts Center. And we will sell beer and wine, and that's how we'll make a little bit of money on it. It's a small event. It's designed to use the facility for a low-key, lower-impact thing that we think we can do more of later in the summer, and will help us make a little bit of money, and also provide entertainment that people
So I
like.
understand there'll be a dance floor. It's kind
There'll
of
be a
exciting.
dance floor. They actually have some colored graphics, essentially that'll screen off the outside soccer fields from the wall, so it'll be an inside-like event. But anyway, it's the first time. We'll try it.
And the average attendance you're thinking is about 300, right? Or so?
They're hoping to 500 to 1,000.
Oh.
And what are the hours on this, Dave?
I don't know what they said, but it's a normal event, like 7 to 10.
7 to 10. I'm
This
sorry.
is still going through the public gathering.
Oh, okay, I was
So
gonna
any
say, I
motion
didn't
we
see it
make
on
on
the-
this will be subject to public gathering approval.
You're the public gathering permit.
What?
This is the public.
This is the public
It still has to be reviewed by the police department and there are other.
The members, we don't have a signed
Right,
public gathering.
Exactly. We're
Yeah.
reversing the process a little bit here.
All
We're
right.
not getting it to you first.
Because it is the 29th, and the band was available, and the people could get together, and so we appreciate that.
Subject to all signed approvals, I
Yes,
should say.
right.
How's
We
that?
appreciate that. We appreciate that consideration.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Ray? Okay, may I have a motion to approve the application for the party at the PAC for May 29th, subject to all public gathering approvals?
I'll move that.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please
Aye.
say aye. Aye. The motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dave.
Oh, Jerry, we should have put yours all together, sorry, we have to sit down. Okay, going on, approve proposed advertising and sponsorship plan for Cultural Parks and Recreation. I'd like to thank Jerry and his staff, John and Taryn, who all worked very hard on this. They did a best policy review of what other rinks offer, really put in a lot of research, worked with their committee to get unanimous approval for this recommendation coming to us. It's an initiative, very pleased to see you take. It's based after the 3 board recommended ways and suggestions to raise revenue to help offset some of the expenses. And this is one of, thanks, Sarah. Thanks for coming. Sarah's mom.
Night.
Good job. I know, it doesn't warm your heart. I know. It does. But, so Jerry, if you want to walk us through this, tell us about it, and just
Sure,
give us
yeah.
your...
I should actually probably go back about 5 years ago. We introduced, and eventually the Board of Selectmen passed a facility advertising program, which at the time included some of the components that are here. Some were passed, some were deferred for future action. The biggest piece I think that we look at that gives us the ability to generate revenue, increase our exposure is really through our website. As I say in the brochure and the submission, our website currently generates about 250,000 page views per year. We feel we offer a lot to local businesses, that would like to use that, so that visibility. We did work with the Park and Rec Commission on this, and it was actually part of through the budget process and through the Special Revenue Fund subcommittee that was in place last year. We were looking at various ways to generate more revenue, and this seemed like one that we really wanted to go back and revisit and build on. And so this is really what brings us here tonight. I think the commission had some some good direction for us in terms of how best to use some of the available space we have without oversaturating. We feel there's a balance there, but we feel there's a lot of opportunity here. As you can see, the opportunities include our sponsorship on our website, on our golf course website, as well as the rink board advertising, which we've had in place for about over 20 years now. So, or into some combinations of both. This would be done for a year. We would certainly be evaluating it as we go along and see, what is working, what's not. And I think it's, we feel it's a good first start. And, you know, again, I think there, between the programs that we have, between the facilities that we have, and the website, we feel is you know, attractive for local businesses to want to be involved with. So with this, we're asking for your approval. It has been, the policy that was reviewed by the town attorney. He approved it to form. Our director of Data Services, Rick Bizzano, I think there's a memo for him. We were concerned about the security of the town's website, our website, and I believe he's addressed that issue.
Thank you for being proactive on that and addressing that before questions came. I think that's excellent. You did that. And does anyone have any questions for Jerry?
Just, you know, this has been, I know, as you mentioned before, some of the policies came through when you were doing this, you know, and I know it's a question that's been asked along the way when we've been talking about budgets, but who's ultimately going to be responsible to do this, and have you kind of set out, you know, how you're going to distribute the information? And
well, we're going to start actually right now, if this is approved now. We actually have an intern who's working for us in a couple of capacities, but really we want to focus on our better using our website. We've just gotten, you know, involved in some different areas. We want to utilize an intern along with our full-time staff and try and get it out through, you know, Main Street and Chamber of Commerce and Rotary and all the other organizations in town that may have an interest in it. And so I think there's going to be some, I think we need to get out, visit people. Maybe, you know, some people may not be aware of what we have, what's available. Yeah. But we will, I think it's an informational type of process that we need to really follow.
Jared, could you speak? We talked. You have a great sponsorship program, so obviously no alcohol, drugs are permitted. You do have a policy in place as to what types of advertising are permitted.
Yeah, and that was part of the policy that was adopted in 2009, and we're just carrying that over. And it's certainly, we looked at a number of other towns and cities at the time, and, you know, kind of modeled ours after theirs. We also did a survey to look just within our state in terms of other departments that are utilizing website advertising. We found about 16 that either have sponsors or actually are like us or are going to be out looking for sponsors. So it's, you know, I don't want to say it's a new wave or a new method, but I think as we've gotten into, you know, more use of our website, it's probably kind of a logical way we feel to, you know, to go.
Sean.
Where's the revenue go?
The special revenue fund.
So this is the Simsbury Farms special revenue fund?
That's correct.
My recollection is that's consistent with the recommendations came out of the subcommittee and the changes that we implemented.
That's correct.
So, good.
Any further questions? Okay. May I have a motion to approve the proposed advertising and sponsorship plan for Culture Parks and Recreation?
Move that.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion with our thanks. Thank you, and please
Thank
extend
you.
our thanks to the committee for working on this.
You may be hearing from us.
A lot of local businesses out there, right?
You have before you a motion to approve Simsbury Main Street Partnership Proposal for new marketing materials. This comes at a recommendation from the task force and with the support of the Economic Development Committee, I believe.
Yep.
And I'll turn it over to Nancy for you to present.
Yeah, thanks. So the task force has been working on refreshing the brand for the town, and a lot of the existing materials that we're working on sort of fall under that. And looking at the town website and the work that we are going to do with that, it made a lot of sense to reach out to Main Street and say the print materials that you did some 8 years ago, to have them take a charge of making updates to those. So refreshing the brand not only on the website, but ultimately with the goal of having a cohesive marketing package come out of the full work of the task force. So Main Street provided this attached to the motion, or that gives the details of it. So it's basically a redesign of those materials and production of those materials. And really, I'd like to thank Main Street, because not only did they step up and participate in the task force, which was not part of their work plans, but they're also willing to manage this which also was not part of their work plan. So similar to the website, basically the town will be taking over this duty, and the recommendations would come from the task force as they review the materials, but the ultimate approval of those materials would be through the town, and the work would be done by Main Street. So the funding would come out of the monies that were set aside for the task force, and
Certainly the task force would be consulted and reported to, but. Right.
Exactly.
But this is, as a legislative body, the legislative commissions don't have the authority to spend money. That's the administrator.
So we were, in bringing this forward, it was similar to what we did with the website, utilizing a resource that we already have with virtual town hall at a much reduced savings, or reduced cost rather, and a significant savings to the town to make the changes to the website, and we'll be able to do that with this contract through Main Street. So that's about the gist of it. If anyone have any questions?
Does anyone have any questions on this? Okay, may I have a motion to approve the Simsbury Main Street Partnership proposal for production, design, and printing of new marketing materials for the sum not to exceed $15,493.
Second.
Any further questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
And we have before us someone who I think I'm going to owe a lunch to. Mr. Tom Roy is here. I apologize. I was going to amend the agenda to move him closer, and I just forgot. So we have Tom here is before us to approve the high tunnel at Community Farm, subject to approval by council and all town land use approvals. Tom is going to talk to us about what a high tunnel is.
I appreciated the visual, I just want to say. When I read the first page, I said, what?
Yeah, I had a totally different thing in my head with the...
Actually, I mean, the high tunnel is really just a temporary greenhouse type structure. You see a lot of them if you look around the area, and especially up near Community Farm. They cover the landscape. Currently, the Community Farm has one such structure that was put up relatively close to the roadway. At the time they put it up, they weren't too familiar with town process and procedures, and it actually got up ahead of zoning approval. Since then, they understand fully what they're responsible for doing. This high tunnel will be placed much farther back away from the roadway. In fact, it may not even be visible from the roadway. But they have some new fields that they're cultivating in the back, and having a high tunnel such as this is going to allow them to extend the growing season. And as Lisa said, everything here would be subject to legal review and appropriate zoning review.
And approvals, right?
That's correct.
So they'd have to go through the same zoning process that any questions?
So why are we approving it tonight then if it hasn't had that yet? Don't we do it at the end of the zoning process, not the beginning? Then we got us in trouble last time?
We could. This is all...
I don't care, but it's just...
I think the reason it was brought for us in this capacity, I think we have someone here, is that we are at the beginning of the growing season. It was to expedite the process, but we can, if you're more comfortable waiting, we can certainly.
I'm not uncomfortable. It doesn't matter if we approve it. Zoning's got to approve it, right?
Correct.
As to whether or not this legislative body needs to review it. Is it a building or is it a temporary structure?
Well, we do have from council that we absolutely do need to approve it.
I'm fine approving it. I just.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll stop asking questions, sorry.
No, it's a good question, and it's a fair question.
Yeah, it was just part of our own process, and again, the one challenge with the incubator farmer program that they have at Community Farm is this happens just as it is tonight to us. This happened relatively quickly, that they were able to get the funding for this, and they saw the opportunity, so we're just looking to expedite it as much as we can, keeping everything within all of the appropriate checks and balances. Seems to almost be a theme of tonight.
It does.
Exactly. And I was going to say zoning's next Monday night, so if we do this tonight, they can go to zoning and then they're done.
Well, that makes sense.
Hiram's here, a administrative review is one of the processes we were talking about.
Okay.
Oh, even better. All right. That makes perfect sense.
All right, great.
Yeah, the way these, and I apologize to the board, but sometimes we do get submissions that come very quickly, although we expect things 7 days in advance.
I understand it was a crazy day.
We get it.
Yeah.
It's okay. Welcome back.
Crazy week and it's only Monday, right?
That's right, exactly.
It's okay. So I move that we approve a high tunnel on the community farm behind the landfill, subject to town council approval as to form of sublease and license, subject to all town land use approvals.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion passes. We will go on to updates. With update on the senior center Community Center project. And Tom, if you could give us an update?
Absolutely. Things are moving apace. The first part is the architect review committee, which has already had its first meeting, I believe, last Wednesday. They received 15 responses to the RFQ, and so they started their review process last Wednesday. They'll meet again on May 20th, I believe, to come up with a short list. So that process is underway. One of the focuses of our working group has been to try to find somebody to help with a review of programming requirements. And that turned out to be something of a challenge, but I'm happy to say that we have identified a nationally recognized expert. This fellow is a professor at Fordham University. He's actually run a senior center, but this is what he does. This is his area of expertise, is programming in senior centers. So we are moving forward to explore possibly retaining him. He has the time. It's just a matter of refining scope and price. We, as you know, early tonight had our meeting to make sure that the public had an opportunity to suggest areas for questioning on the town survey. Great Blue Research has that process well in hand, and we have a timeline that should have us survey results by the end of May, early June. So that's on track as well. Finally, things are moving forward in the land use area. We have, I guess, wetlands flagging was completed on the site, and the field survey should begin in the next 1 to 2 weeks.
They'll be looking at fauna and habitat, which animals are there. So it's a comprehensive review, not just of the wetlands, but also the fauna and the animals, to make sure we fully understand the area that we'll be looking at.
And the final piece is that we've, again, reached out to the Performing Arts Center folks to make sure that they have their programming needs identified for us to consider as we move forward. So a lot has happened in the last couple of weeks.
I want to thank Jeff is here today. He's been working with the wetlands flagging, and that's really the first step to make sure it's a viable site and begin the process. So it is partially completed with the wetlands flagging, but again, there's still more parts to come. So I want to thank Jeff for coordinating that work and working hard on that, and to all of town staff and to all of our boards and commissions who are working hard on this.
Tom, can I just ask a quick question? On the piece of this puzzle that is Eno, is any consideration being given to that at this time, or?
Well, we would not use the same architect.
Well, that's why I'm wondering if we're...
But Tom Roy is here today, and he can speak to that. There is still some... there has been an analysis of what needs to be done in terms of outward scope. Some of the work we had put off when we were deciding where to put a senior center or not, because obviously you don't want to do the work that you have to undo when if
Absolutely.
You do a senior center.
That's why I'm just wondering how that piece fits into this.
We'll let Tom speak to that.
We're actually in the process now of engaging an architect to redesign the 2 side entrances, which are actually the predominant entrances used. This winter has been particularly tough on all of the bluestone steps that are back there.
Yeah, I saw.
The north side of the building is actually closed. There's no sense continuing to try to patch together what's left of the bluestone steps. So we're hoping that with the architect that we're bringing on board, we can move the lower set of steps over on the north side of the building, which will widen the area for the wheelchair access ramp, making it more welcoming, making it more appropriate for the building, and also the stairs coming down from the top would have a more appropriate landing, and that we rebuilt something that would be architecturally appropriate, but that will hold up to the test of time. There are a number of products that we can use that would be architecturally appropriate, that would mimic the bluestone, but that would not have some of the same maintenance problems that we've seen over there historically.
As far as the programming expert that you mentioned, is any consideration being given to programs that might continue at Eno as opposed to ones that will be moving over to the PAC, or?
I think it's our understanding, the staff working group's understanding, that the first goal is to determine how much of the programming can actually be accomplished at the Performing Arts Center.
Right.
And so until we have a sense that there is a piece, or there are pieces that can't be done there, it's hard to move forward with an analysis of Eno. So I think that while that's definitely part of the flow chart that we have, it's definitely something that we intend to encounter and address as we move forward. We can't really do it right now because it's too hypothetical.
And the Board of Selectmen...
I understand that. I'm just wondering how all those pieces are going to fit together.
Here's how I envision it. This is the, in talking with Sean Kimball, the consultant will come out and evaluate what we're currently offering. He is an expert in the field and has just, if you read his background, and we'll have to get the name for you, the research he's done in terms of the demographics that are coming down the line, he has a great understanding, and having worked at a national organization, can recommend the programming needs. So when we think of a senior center, at the end of the day, it's not the stuff, it's the services we offer, and how do we build the stuff we need to offer the services we want to provide to our residents. So he will take a comprehensive look at what we are currently offering, what the trends are out there, what the demographics are likely to be, make a recommendation for programming, and then from there, what kind of space we need to accommodate the anticipated programming needs of our community. Right. So I think it's a fairly straightforward process. It's an interesting, fascinating process. I think it is important to have someone who is willing to work with all of our town staff, with Mickey, with our Aging and Disability Committee, to go over the programming needs. And he is aware that we are doing a senior community center, so as we meet those needs, you can do them in a way that accommodates the community or in a way that doesn't, and he knows that we would like to do it in a way that can meet the needs of our seniors and accommodate our community. So we don't have him hired, but when we do, I'm sure you'll meet him. We're excited to at least begin that process. It was a very difficult process to find that. It took a lot of research. We found him through Louisiana by way of Atlanta.
It's a lot of traveling.
From someone who had worked on a project with AARP,
right.
And they recommended this person to us, a national project. And so it was a sort of it was quite a road to get there.
And he's something of an expert on senior centers in the future. He's looking downfield to try to determine what they're likely to need in years to come. So it's really, if we draw in the job description, we couldn't have found a better person than we did.
So thanks for going over that. I just thought it was important to sort of put that piece of the puzzle out there.
Sure.
Since we're moving into the survey and
Absolutely,
people are going to be asking questions about where we're headed. Thank you for that.
Good point. The one update we didn't give is like, if you get the call, take the call, and it's from great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Survey. So as many times as we can say that, if everyone who's watching this can get the word out, we will be. Residents will be receiving calls from Great Blue, and they are a town survey to let us know what you think about our community, the senior center, economic development, open space, many questions about our community, so that we know how better to serve you. So we're excited about that.
I did want to say, after our 5 o'clock meeting, I had a just quick second to catch Stephanie, and I know the word is getting out about the survey, but I had suggested the schools, chamber, Main Street, churches, synagogues, any way to get the word out so that we're getting it out everywhere. And then folks are as aware as they can be.
I believe that's on Mr. Kimball's battle plan.
It is.
Yeah.
I think they've got steps. This has really been something. There's almost nothing in this plan that hasn't already been put on a calendar. So we've there will be
but the churches, I don't think we had on there, so we will add that.
We haven't, at least not yet. But I'm pretty sure that was planned. But
yep. Great. But great suggestions, and keep them coming, and try not to bring any more pens.
That's right.
I'm not loaning you anymore.
Especially when you're wearing white pants.
I know. No, and I would just want to appreciate, it is one of the challenges we have, as we saw at the meeting, people don't know, and it's interesting. Right. We're on SCTV, where minutes are published, we do put it out in the paper, and yet people still don't know, because we do have limited, we put it out on listserv, but even with all that, people are still feeling they're not getting the information, because we don't have, a daily newspaper other than the Current, which can't, by its nature, publish everything we put out.
But I believe we have spoken with the Valley Press. That was going to happen when I was away. So we are reaching out to our news outlets to.
She's sick of us.
We are reaching out to our news outlets to make sure that they have a chance to help us with the promotion.
Great. Yeah. So, but anything you can do, and we are using social media as well, so you will see that on Facebook, Simsbury Moms Unite. I think they were planning on contacting. So a number of if you have suggestions, please get them to Stephanie. She's very open to it.
Great.
And anything you can do to help get out the word would be great. Before you, we have not for action, but a draft copy of the revised, oh, I'm sorry, is everyone done with senior center update?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Before you, we have a revised business development incentive policy. This is a draft. It's coming to us in draft form, not ready for a vote because it will go before the Economic Development Committee, and council has recommended that because this is a policy, we do hold a hearing probably in the first meeting in June, and then with a subsequent vote at the second meeting, so people have ample opportunity to review it. I do have, some concerns with it, and I will be submitting my comments as well. But I want to turn it over to Nancy for your discussions.
Yeah, I mentioned at our last meeting 2 things that came out of the last task force meeting. So, and I want to thank Hiram and the programs committee because we have been working on this for months. And basically, and I think I've spoken to this before, there are policies at the state level, but what we did is, there was a comprehensive look at not only those, but what other communities were doing, and really with a goal and an eye towards what was appropriate and best for Simsbury. And also taking the time to do that, I think, sends a message to, and I would say that the task force members were in agreement, and that's why they were enthusiastic about doing this, a message to the business community about having this type of an option to offer to potential businesses coming into town. So it includes a tax abatement policy, an infrastructure policy, and also rebates on permits themselves. And I hope tonight that we could talk a little bit through this and discuss the time frame that you were talking about, Lisa. I do agree, and I know we spoke that you want to get this out and then have time for review and then have it come back for a meeting.
This is in conjunction with the best practices and policies of the board, so we do want to follow open procedures where we give plenty of notice.
Yes.
We almost approved a 10-year extension on a lease tonight, so.
I was going to say, we have all sorts of things going on. And yet I appreciate that. It's not an ordinance, but at the same time, I think it's important to get public input, so that is certainly a good way to go with this. And there's been a lot of discussion around this. I know there was some confusion around the EDC voting on this or not. Having been to a couple of their meetings, and I guess it's not reflected in the minutes accurately, but they did vote on this. And Main Street has also supported the moving forward with the policy, and a letter from the chamber has also come forward, and this was unanimously approved by the task force itself. So. I don't know if anybody has any comments. Certainly Hiram's gotten a lot of feedback. It went out a couple of times to members of the task force to provide feedback in its last round. And I don't know, Hiram, if you had anything to add to all that.
Not really, Nancy. I think that, as you said, we've been working on it for a while. I think that there are a lot of moving parts here, that there may be comments, suggestions, tweaks that people might suggest that will make it better. It's always possible to make the document better. I'm happy to hear what those are and look forward to moving the process forward.
I want to thank Hiram. He's put in a lot of work on this, a lot of staff time, dealing with a lot of competing voices. He knows that I have some concerns that are inconsistent with currently there, and he couldn't have been kinder to me in that. And I just want to point out, I do have some issues with this. I have prepared a memo for members of the Board of Selectmen outlining my concerns, but I do want to first just really recognize and thank the task force and the Economic Development Committee for their efforts. I think the abatement policy definitely needed some improvement, and some of the things in there I do support and think you did a good job with that. One of the main things, I do have some hesitancies in general with abatement policies, which I'll outline in my memo to you. And, generally a lot of the research out there is the marginal benefit to a company's bottom line from tax abatement is generally comparatively small and not determinative of business decisions. There's a lot of research out there. There are fairness questions about abatements. But these are fairly standard generalities about abatements, and it's for those generalities that our existing program has been limited and used very sparingly. I think there are a lot of suggestions in here that will add to some improvements, but while the specific policy provisions do need updating, I believe the general policy of judicious and limited use should be continued. That's sort of my overall theme on that. I am not in support of using this for apartments and residential buildings. I know that that's one of the proposals, but, obviously it's subject to a vote. The things about abatements is what you want to do is attract businesses that wouldn't otherwise come to town. And we're seeing a lot of apartments and residents coming. I did present this or have a general conversation with the Farmington Valley Collaborative, which are all the towns within our valley, and I asked them what they do with abatements. Farmington does have an abatement policy, of which much of this was modeled after, with many changes, thanks to Hiram looking at what other towns were doing as well. And I asked them about that, and they said they never grant them. They use it very, very sparingly. The other towns did not use them and were not planning on pursuing using them at this point. So I thought that was an interesting piece of information to share with this board. They felt that the best things you can do, and then I'd like to commend this board for doing that, is really doing conservative budgeting, which really benefits all taxpayers, residents and businesses. If you can keep the budgets low, that benefits everyone. I just want to thank this town. I think has really laid the table nicely for economic development. We do that by committing to excellence in education, marketing the town through securing national and state awards, providing quality of life conditions for the town, as you mentioned in our vision statement, right. Engaging with the business community, with the business resource, expedited approvals, funding Main Street to do business retention, maintaining roads and infrastructure. We think of that, is how we get along, but that's actually business development if you have good roads. Committing to community policing is also a huge economic development for us. So I'd like to commend the board for many of the things they do, and I think we can come, I feel like there's a path to supporting a changed version of this, and I look forward to the open discussion with the board, and I will pass out my comments to you, because as you know me well, it's a little long and cumbersome, because that's what I do.
Wouldn't expect anything less.
But I just want to say, these are meant in the spirit of let's get the best policy we can, and raising issues that I think, even if you disagree with, are worthy of discussing.
Absolutely.
No, I appreciate it.
If I could jump on, Lisa, I do have some concerns, and you brought up a good one of which is the fairness. I don't know if we're thinking about it the same way, but, and again, let me start this. I think this is 95% great. There's just a couple of questions that I had, one of which is around the application requirements and procedures. I don't know if that's standard or not, but it seems like there's an awful lot of subjectivity built into the application process, and to me that seems unfair.
Well,
either businesses get the opportunity to be heard, or they don't. And I don't know, Hiram, I need your guidance on whether that's standard or not, but, a lot of review and before it even gets to a business development community, who's on the business development committee, do we gonna form one? Either we have one or we don't. Either you get a hearing or you don't. That my personal, just laying it out there, it's 9 o'clock opinion of this.
20 seconds or less, I would tell you that one of the key things that I wanted to do was to build flexibility into this board's ultimate decision, because this is the board that ultimately will have the decision as to what to do.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of places in this document where you'll see you have the flexibility to make a determination, subjective determination, and frankly, that's on purpose. The way the process works could be pared down a little bit. It may turn out that there's some really good suggestions about changing the membership of the Business Development Committee slightly, just to make that work a little better. But getting it more quickly to that committee and getting a decision from that committee to this board in an expeditious way is important. There's no question about that.
And that's the context of it. So again, I like the flexibility when it gets to the Business Development Committee or it gets to the Board of Selectmen, because I understand that, and we've seen that in practice. I guess to echo your comments there at the end, you get the submission. That submission automatically gets forwarded to the Business Development Committee once similar to a zoning application, similar to a planning application. And the Business Development Committee is automatically convened of the chairman of the Board of Finance or designee, the chairman of the zoning or designee, or whoever is in here.
Right. So and not appointed.
I just think it gets, the members are stated, because it's just have it be a set group of folks, so there's an expected outcome or expected understanding of who's on there, and then the Business Development Committee either recommends it to us or they don't. but I think every application deserves to at least get to that group, I guess is my point.
Absolutely.
Once you're okay with it, I guess.
I think that's a really important point. As long as it's complete and we get as much information from them as we can, what they need to understand, and this has been hard in the past, is that they need to present as complete a package to you, ultimately, as possible. They come in with a thing on the back of the envelope, it's probably going nowhere. And that's happened.
Oh, and I agree,
So
yeah.
That's exactly the point.
Just like if they wanted to do a subdivision, or if they wanted to build a massive, apartment complex, they would need to come in with a completed application. The expectation would be the same.
Exactly.
So to me, that was something that struck me as, again, whether we're going to approve them or not, everybody ought to get a hearing, I guess, is as long as it's a completed application.
Sounds good.
I don't know if others share that, but.
Well, as to your fairness thing, I think you raise an important point, and that's been one of the criticisms about abatements that are discretionarily granted. One of the complaints you'll read about in the literature is that the picking of some companies to receive abatements and the denial of others can lead to the perception of favoritism and the questioning of motivations by decision makers. That's one of the cautions, I think, that are out there. It doesn't mean it can't be done.
Yep.
As Hiram said, having some of the flexibility there is important, because really, when we grant an abatement, it is done, we're asking other people to pay for services that we're asking someone else not to.
Well, we need to weigh public good in those opinions. And I think that's why there needs to be
That's
flexibility.
why there is flexibility in there.
Yeah.
But the flip side of that is there are accusations of favoritism. So that's just, that's a known criticism of tax abatements out there, but there's also a known benefit to having the flexibility.
And that's my point, is at least let them have a hearing. Let people come out and have their say.
I would tell you too that no matter how hard you work and how careful you are, there are always going to be people that are going to accuse you of favoritism. Going to happen.
It's the fun part about
So you just need to be part of the process to make it as clear and as transparent as possible.
And what I like about this policy that our previous one didn't have, it does give a little bit more detail as to what sort of types of businesses we would be willing to entertain. The other policy did not, so this gives some notice to developers as to what's out there.
I mean, as a board of
selectmen, I was just going to say, in terms of the criteria that we put together for the EDC, I mean, some of those kinds of questions, the sense of place and the character of the town, and the, adding to its economic vitality and its resources, all that kind of stuff, those questions are all in there, almost in a way to, and then the EDC could say to the Business Development Committee, this is a good project, and they can make some sort of a comment towards if an application is made. But, I think we are a town of firsts. We've done certainly a lot of things that have been, on the mark in terms of the different, charrettes and things that we've done. So, and of course, we don't have the luxury of being next to 84. So I'd like to say I was Farmington and didn't have to use a tax abatement program. So, I've always said from the beginning, if we have this, it doesn't mean we have to use it. But I think the way it is outlined is it does allow us, anybody can come in and can submit an application right now under the zoning regulations that we have. But if there's a great project and we want to be sure that it's here and it is in keeping with the vision we've set for the charrette and things like that, I would think we would want to make sure that we didn't miss that opportunity. And so I think this policy does a great job of doing that.
I mean, my comment, and I agree with everything you just said, Nancy, my comment was, as a selectman member, if one of these comes in today, I'd rather have this policy than the current one. Right. Even if there's things that I, disagree, and Lisa, if, I'm thinking about negotiating with a potential Hartford property or other things, I'd rather have you negotiating with somebody with something like this, again, maybe with some changes, versus the one we've got to land a business.
I actually was one of the people who recommended that we change the current policy because it did not meet the needs. People were applying after they built the project, and that does not incentivize people to come if you're awarding it after. So that was crazy.
Exactly.
So this policy, actually, in one of my suggestions in there is language that specifically says it has to be done before.
Yeah,
that's one of my suggestions. So you'll see some of the suggestions, I guess, the apartments and residents is one I may not get unanimous support on. I was hesitant about retail. A lot of tax abatements do not do retail for the reasons why, because if you read the literature, a lot of the retail is used to bring in big boxes or to compete with existing retail. So like if you brought in an EMS, that's great, but how does that impact Vincent's, right? So is that economic growth, or is that just swapping out,
changing
or is
dollars.
it just competition?
Yeah.
So those are, now that said, Sarah Nielsen raised a great point to me when I mentioned that to her. She said, well, what about existing retail? Would you I said, yes, I'd be more willing to offer it to existing retail. So if you've been here for a couple years and you want to do an expansion, maybe I'd be more willing to do that because they've already shown a commitment to the town, to taxpayer dollars. And it's more like a business retention option. It's not really a tax abatement, but it's a business retention tool. So in that aspect, I would do that. So you'll see, and the number increase for new business, my recommendation is to raise it to 3 million from 1.5 because that's more consistent with the state statutes, and it's also comparable to what Farmington does. And what I don't want to see us get into a position of, and one of the downfalls of abatements is that there's often a race to the bottom, and I don't want to see us get in a spiral and a race to the bottom there. So those are my comments for your consideration. They're laid out in a fairly lengthy manner, as you have come to expect from me. But they are offered with the intention of making this the best policy we can, and I hope you will give them careful consideration as we go forward.
I just want to ask a follow-up to the comment about the dollars. Because we've put together land use policies that we don't want a big bucks kind of development, and there's certain sort of thresholds of spending as a result of that. We aren't a Farmington. We don't have a lot of those bigger buildings. So does that level at the state make sense? I just asked that in terms of maybe looking
I think that's a fair question. In my mind, if I think of $1.5 million for a tax abatement, I think, well, we have houses worth $1.5 million in this town, and I think to give an abatement, it should be more than the value of a house in town. So that's sort of how I came to that.
Yeah, but I would just say, examining it from a business context, investment, size of a building, cost of that building, really looking at that. Looking to what the charrette has sort of put out there in terms of the renderings and the vision of, and so therefore what would those buildings actually cost, and so.
Well, and that's, which is why I'm supportive of Hiram's putting in a catch-all that these provisions can be waived, but I think it is important to put it out there to the public. We're really looking for sizable investments in the town if you want a tax abatement. And if something particular comes in that we haven't thought of, Hiram did put in we could waive certain provisions, but I would want to put it out there to the public as we market it. We're looking for sizable investments in town. This isn't given to everyone who comes in. Right. So that was my thinking there.
One of the things I think is important, too, is that you really need to be careful about the wording, because my sense is, too, that what we're really talking about here is a lot of small businesses. And so you need to be careful when you talk about we want large money, that's fine, but just be careful so that the wording doesn't constrain you in the end. So that the small business people can take advantage of this as well. Because when we talked to the Main Street Board of Directors and we talked to Chamber of Commerce Government Affairs, that was a concern that they had.
Which is why I did not recommend increasing the existing business. That's why I kept that there, because I do think,
talking about new?
Because I do think that it is important to support our existing business community. And if a small business comes in and they make it for a number of years and they want to expand, we should support that. And that's business retention, which is why I'm okay with that and why I did not recommend an increase there.
And to that end, I mean, think back to the businesses in the last 10 years that have completely changed the perception of building. Holloway's at the north end of town. They put that roof on. That was not cheap. I can't imagine what that cost them, but totally changed that strip mall into something that is much more.
Which is precisely why I was okay with local retail, because an expansion of local retail is a lot more acceptable to me than bringing in new retail that's going to compete with our existing retail. Our goal is in part to retain the local businesses we have. Right. So that's my thinking there.
And again, though, I go back to your development can come in regardless of whether they get an abatement or not. And so we can't really stop competition from happening.
But the question is, do we want to devote taxpayer dollars to that?
Right.
That's it.
And I think I just go back to if you have a development, and again, it's something that is part of maybe the vision of the charrette, it's in the town center, it's doing all those things that the people have agreed is the vision for the town, and it is a mixed-use development, and it brings with it so many things. Would we want to say no because it has a competitive retail component?
Well, that's why there is the catch-all. We can consider it as something particular, but we do put it out there, the general theme. That's just my thinking on it. I understand that we may not all agree on that, and that's okay, but I did want to lay out my thinking as to why.
How we talk it through.
Right. Yeah. And I look forward to, vigorous conversations, and I know that, the fact that I disagree with some of this doesn't mean I don't value the work that was put in, because I do.
This is a big policy.
We all agreed it would be
I don't
better.
agree with 100% of this either. There's
It's a
plenty
lot.
of things I disagree with, too. So to that end, Hiram, should we send comments to you?
please.
Yeah, that would be
Just
great.
copy you guys, just.
That would be great.
You know, because I still need to get my arms around the mixed-use residential piece.
I was going to say, my question was
Understand
more
that.
about the percentage numbers you had in for, and how we get there, how you came to that decision. I guess I just don't understand the thinking behind it, which is just because I wasn't involved in that
Just
part
send
of
me
it.
the
but-
question and I can go through the debate that took place
Yeah.
and how we got to where we got. I'm happy
And,
to explain all
how
those.
we get to that and the rationale for that.
Sure.
Well, one of the things, if mixed use is kept in, I would just say, and I think Hiram did attempt to do that, but it might be mixed use of a building.
Right, that's what I just wanted to
As opposed to
understand what it
different
was.
parts where we build the residence and we can't build the commercial.
We talked about that even when we went through creating the policies,
Right.
the regulations themselves, that we did not want to see somebody come in and it be mixed use, but then them build a part and not build the other parts. That's a no-go. I mean, that's just.
Yeah, I mean, and, for mixed use, I would be okay with giving the tax abatement for the commercial aspect of the mixed use too. So that's a partial tax abatement. I could compromise that.
You get bricks and mortar out of it. You're not giving an abatement to somebody that's going to move into a space and then move out 3 years later.
Right, exactly.
That's
Yeah,
not-
yeah.
that's not at all.
So that's interesting when you talk about retail too. It isn't in some cases you won't even know who's going to actually occupy the space, but it's the developer coming in, building the building, and then the market sort of dictates what goes there and what doesn't go there. So.
But you're going to help somebody succeed or not succeed, depending on the dollars that are involved.
yeah.
Much like we ran into with the skating center.
Yeah.
It does impact it. We should not be deciding winners and losers.
That's my main concern with tax abatements in general. And when we forego someone comes in and takes advantage of all the town services and we don't charge them, it's true. Okay, we didn't really lose it, they weren't paying, but they are using town services without paying for them. So there is a fundamental unfairness with tax abatements that, when you read the literature, that's one of the things people criticize. On the other hand, to your point, Nancy, sometimes that's a value we're willing to take, but in doing that, we are picking winners and losers. And so which is why I go back to the point I made that whatever we do, we should use it judiciously and rarely. So
it's interesting because in speaking to the WPCA, we were hoping that they would be part of this, and they haven't quite come on board yet, and we're not giving up on that completely. But one of the discussions was around, it's making comparisons. I mean, we talked about the senior center or senior abatements that we give, and it's very similar. We have made a policy choice to abate taxes for seniors, and somebody else is paying those taxes. And so, it's our pleasure to do that because we recognized what the circumstances are, and at the same time we're making a decision in the same way we're abating it for them, we're making a decision for somebody else to pay.
So I hate to
more.
even say this, but one of my recommendations is to do an exclusion for the sewer usage because they are a special revenue fund, and the only way they fund themselves is through the collection of fees. So if we waive that, they have to make up that revenue in some way. Either we have to write them a check. So there's an expense. So I didn't see that. I'm certainly willing, as I mentioned to Hiram, to talk. I think there are ways we can look to incentivize through the sewer usage. I'm not sure this is the one I would recommend.
See, for
and so I
them-
recommended against it.
Yeah, and the only thing I would say on that is to entertain the idea that you have, where they really make their money is on their annual fees. So they can't get that money if they don't have hookups. So if a project came in and it created what is a reliable, sustainable source of revenue for them, it could be a decision that they make to say, this particular sewer line has flow capacity, we have the ability for it to work down here, and we're going to get X number of hookups, which is going to generate, so much
Which is why I'm
revenue.
not opposed to having further discussions with them.
Right.
I don't think we're there yet.
Oh, no, we're not there.
Which is why I don't think. Which is why I would put the exclusion in there for now, because I just don't want people to go in
I'm
with the expectation.
delusionally optimistic about that, Lisa. I'm working.
All right. So there's the difference
So.
between Nancy and I. I'm recommending against it. But I do think that there are opportunities to have about ways to work with the sewer usage fund and to see what we could do with them. But at this point, I would not recommend this as being part of the abatement simply because they are
No.
special revenue funds.
No.
So that's why that recommendation came in.
Information that I'll bring to when the hearing ever comes about. In addition to the answers to the questions that I get, will be a schedule of just how those things have worked in the past, I think Rich Sawicki did that last time he did an analysis. They were looking at 25 or 30 hookups a year. I would say, in the last couple of years.
Yeah, and those are conversations we need to have with the water pollution control, so I'm just not comfortable making that decision without some rather extensive conversations with them, that's all.
Yeah.
But I'm not opposed to having those conversations.
I mean, it sounds like, though, I mean, at the board level, there's conceptual agreement on a lot of this stuff. We just got to work out some of the details, right? I mean, so that's...
I think we can get there. I'm optimistic. I think there a lot of good work was put in. Yeah, there I am. You are. I mean, you know me. I'm kind of a detail person. There's a lot of wonky detail in there, but it is based on research. It is based on what I looked at, what other towns and states offer. It is based on having talked with the Farmington Valley Collaborative, having talked with Main Street. So I think there is some basis for my recommendations, whether you agree with them or not. You know, that's the point of this board. I hope you agree with some of them. I hope you agree with all of them. But if not, you know, as I always say to everyone on every other board, 80-20. Let's try and get 80-20. We're not all going to agree with everything, but let's try and get the best policy we can with the most things we can do. You know, I am on the Business Development Committee. I just point out that there were comments from Linda Schofield that she made that were not incorporated into the final vision. She made them after it was presented because she received the final draft on April 20th, and then the vote was taken that day. So
yeah, no, we did get hers, and I,
yeah.
So we had sent it out. That's why I made the comment.
Yeah.
We had sent it out twice to the board for comments, and hers, she did not send hers in. So when she
I think
came
she
to
got
the meeting,
the final copy though on April. She was waiting for the final copy.
No, that
Yeah.
was sent out twice to the board electronically. So it had gone out to the board, and the board had plenty of time to comment. When she came to the meeting on the 20th, she had forgotten to bring her comments from the prior meeting. And I know she's challenged with her night being the same as Board of Finance, but we have made sure that we have given every opportunity for the task force to make comments. We've gone out of our way to do that, and so I...
But I will forward those comments to the Board of Selectmen because I think they're worthy of consideration.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
From Ms. Schofield?
No,
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, we did.
Did you get
Yeah,
them?
we did. I think we...
Yeah, I'm
we
sure I
got
read them.
At our town website.
Yeah.
Somebody forwarded
At our
them to me.
town
Somebody
website?
sent them on the
Or
town
email,
website.
I'm sorry.
The town email, yeah.
Well, double
amazing.
check, and if you need me to send them again, I will.
We get. I'm pretty sure I got them.
Yeah,
So
I'm
can we
pretty
just
sure we
ask
Lisa's usually-
timing
Linda's usually good with
on,
Well, my recommendation, based on having spoken with town council, is that at our first meeting in June, we hold a public hearing to accept comment on the proposed business incentive program policy. And then from there, after we hear the comments and people have an opportunity, I mean, hopefully you'll review my comments. We may get other comments that are worthy of your consideration. We can then, Bob DiCrescenzo recommended that we not take a vote at that meeting because you do want to give people who missed the meeting an opportunity to watch the meeting and send in their comments like we do. Again, it's just a best practice. So at the second meeting in June, then either make a motion to go to Hiram and the task force and say, we would like these comments, or to me, and say we'd like these, and council, we'd like these comments incorporated into the policy and bring it back for final approval, or to vote the policy as is.
So, we have a meeting on the 27th. Is there a reason we need to wait till June to do?
Yes, I will. I may be canceling that meeting, so I would like to do it in June.
The reason I ask is because the task force, I mean, just from a flow perspective, we meet again June 16th. If we could have a meeting that allowed people to give comment and then that follow-up comment, then it can come back to the task force in June. If not, we're waiting till July. We're into summertime. I just think the timing of it, you know, is, I just, you know, I'd rather see us move forward sooner rather than get into July and August.
Does this need to go back to the task force or EDC? I mean, it's on our
It
list.
doesn't have to, no.
I mean,
But I'm sorry, did you just
we've
say
kinda got
that?
it.
I mean, it could, I mean, what we can do, I mean, really, it's been forwarded to us as this draft. It is now before us to
Right.
accept comments. So we can accept the comments and then make the changes, or recommend, you know, this group can direct me and my staff to work with council to accommodate the changes that this board wants to see in it, based on my submission to you and based on the comments from the public that we get, including Ms. Schofield's.
Yeah.
And then they can come back to this board for a vote.
Yeah.
I mean, the task force has done an outstanding job. They certainly can make comments during the public comment part of it. But I think, you know, we're at the point where it's here. We might as well
Keep it here. Then I would recommend doing the 2 June proposals.
Yeah, I mean, because they've done the 95%.
Yep.
We'll get it the last 5%,
Yep.
push it over the finish line.
And they will obviously have a chance to watch the hearing, and then if they want to email us with their
And they
suggestions
can come
at
to the
that
hearing,
point.
we can
Right.
take all that input. and
Okay.
decide
Hiram, does
where
that
we
work
wanna
for
go.
you from a timing standpoint for what you got coming down the pipe?
I'm here for the duration, so.
I know you got a lot going on, I just want to make sure.
What I'm serious, I mean, whatever it takes to get it done, to move it forward, I'm happy to do that.
And I just like, you know, this is a process, it is using taxpayer money, I'd like to go slow and deliberately, but in a judicious way, so not to delay it, but to do it in a progressive following process and best practices, and this was what was recommended by council, so it makes a lot of sense. We do have a policy in place, we don't even need the policy in place, we can use the state's policy. We have the ability to offer an abatement if something spectacular comes our way, even before this is done. So it will not preclude us from considering an innovative project. All right, so any other comments on this? All right, we will go on
Thank you all.
to...
Thanks, Hiram.
Thank you, Hiram. Thank you for being here.
Good job on this, Hiram. Appreciate it. Nancy, you too.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, really good job.
And then we have, under appointments and resignations, may I please have a motion to accept the resignation of Madeline Gilkey, Republican, as a regular member of the Insurance Committee effective April 22nd, 2015.
So moved.
Second that.
With our thanks.
Any further
thanks as
discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion passes unanimously. We have before you the minutes from April 27th. Does anyone have would anyone like to make a motion to amend the minutes?
Nope.
I just want to say that Mr. Cook and I have been joined again. I'm Ms. Cook with an E. That's,
Does you want to make a motion to him?
it doesn't matter. We don't need to.
We could do that. I mean, why don't we go ahead and just correct it so that there's no confusion? What page is that on?
It's on page 3.
Do we need to make a
See the
motion to
first
amend the minutes?
Under section C, approving the resolution, it says Ms. Cook with an E, and then it's, only because we have another cook who has an E and I don't, but that's.
So we'll take 2 minutes.
I know, and you've been very generous with that E.
Way too accommodating with those E's.
So we may I have a motion to amend the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Cheryl, can you go through the changes you would like to make, and we'll make a motion to add these changes.
On page 3, section C, the second word, cook, is spelled C-O-O-K-E, and it should be C-O-O-K.
Okay. Any other changes? All the other cooks are correct. So.
I know,
Sorry. So we have a motion from Ms. Cook to change the spelling of her name to Cook without an E. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We'll go on to Selectmen Liaison and Subcommittee reports. I wanted to report out on open space to begin with. We had our meeting last week on Wednesday. Yeah, it was last week on Wednesday. I wanted to thank Rachel Blatt. She took in comments, again, as part of our process. As you know, we did a hearing on the Betty Hudson property where we invited the public to come. We had about 40 people come and speak. It was on SCTV, so people had the opportunity to watch it. And the presentation, subsequently, we put out a press release per our best practices by Rachel Blatt, asking for additional comments that people had. Rachel put together a phenomenal, I think you have it in your packet, so I'm going to take this from you.
Yes.
Presentation on what those comments were, and we asked her, did those accommodate the comments from the hearing, and she did, and it really gives you an idea. Most people want it to be passive use. You'll see a lot of common themes in there. But the recommendation from Open Space was to set up a joint meeting of Open Space, Parks and Rec, and Conservation, because those are the 3 boards that will have to deal with the ultimate decision, Parks and Rec, in terms of maintenance, conservation, because we will be dealing with the sensitive area, and bring these comments to them, do a joint meeting, and then after that, hopefully get to a point where we're ready for a recommendation to this board about next steps, which may include going out for a landscape architect and being to the design process. So I think it's very exciting. There did seem consensus that we want to keep it beautiful, open to the river, passive use. That's where most people were, to the extent they wanted stuff. Yeah,
like Ferg's picture of the casino.
Ferg put in a picture.
No, it's not a casino.
Well, it's a pavilion.
That's a neat history for the history.
It is. I mean, if you do, the one structure that people were interested was either a gazebo or a pavilion. And so there were people send in drawings. It's kind of neat to look at what people considered out there.
Yeah.
And, where, of course, the big topic is always where to put the toilets. And should they be permanent or portalets? Most people felt portalets because of the sewage. I mean, we really had these discussions.
This should be on the Town survey?
Yeah, so it was, it's actually lovely to get everyone's comments, and we very much appreciate that. And we'll also be at the joint meeting discussing a couple other things happened that I just want to alert the board to. As you know, we did have a meeting in April about the bike routes going into Terriffill, about connecting the Greenway. And we put that out for information. The proposals had been out there for 3 years ago. It was presented, and they were presented again. At the time, we didn't realize, but since the presentation, the governor came out and said, I have all this money, and I want to use it for bike routes. So we have been told, we got a call, of course, at 6 o'clock at night. I was at Town Hall on Friday night, and I got a call from the manager at Bloomfield and said, oh my gosh, the governor's office is telling us there's money out there. Would you be willing to sign a letter saying we're interested in pursuing the money? I said to him, well, I can't tell them that we have a route in mind because we haven't voted. It hasn't gone through any of our boards. It hasn't gone through the Board of Selectmen. It hasn't been through the community. I could say that but I wanted to run this by you, that the Board of Selectmen is interested in connecting the Greenway through Simsbury. It's an economic development thing. That's the way we have pursued all our things, but I told him I could not, at this point, commit to a route. One of the things Bloomfield is looking to do is to do the connection between Bloomfield and Simsbury going down 189, which is just not through Terriffill, but it would end at the terminus of the Main Street, so that Terriffill and Bloomfield, and eventually the idea is to get into Hartford so that people have a way to ride into the city. And then eventually we would try to connect the Farmington Canal route, which is the one we all ride on, with Terriffill so that they are connected to the town. But that's where the area we do not have consensus yet, and we haven't done our research yet as to how we would do that. Would you go by the river? Would you go on the streets? Would you go through Terriffill? Would you not? And that's an area that needs further explanation, so I said we couldn't commit to that, but they are requesting a letter of interest from the town that we are interested in pursuing the concept of the Greenway. So, by writing that letter would not commit the town to any funding. So it would just be a general letter. I don't actually need your permission to do that, but I did want to raise it to you to see if you had any comments about or thoughts on that, because obviously it will come to you for funding one day when we actually have a route, and once we've gone through it has to go through planning, conservation, parks and rec. A number of people would have to evaluate. There have to be public hearings to make sure we get a route that's compatible with what the community wants. So
the irony, I think, is that what would benefit us probably the most is the thing we know the least about right now. And I'm not saying we don't want to be connected to Bloomfield and into Hartford, but geez, it would be great to take care of the connection of Terriffill to Simsbury downtown.
Oh, I could absolutely do that. I mean, they're looking for an overall connectivity, so they want that. If I have this board's consensus that we're interested in the connectivity between Terriffill and that route, I could absolutely do that without a commitment to which the route is, because we just need more research on that. So we could certainly do that. And the letter is just, Simsbury remains, it has always expressed an interest. This is just Simsbury does remain interest if funds become available, exploring the use for that. And the problem is if we don't do this, the funds will go elsewhere. Right. And we will miss an opportunity. So it's hard to do that. It's very frustrating to be in the position where we're getting pressured to write a letter of interest before it's gone through the boards and commissions. On the other hand, we do know from our community that they are supportive of the Greenway in some fashion. How we do it, the devil's always in the details.
It's been on the capital plan for 6 years, so we're
and based on the turnout for the hearing, I would say there's
there was mixed
well, I know, but
views
both
on
ways,
how they wanted it.
Certainly an interest in discussing that,
but they want
where it's going.
Well, there were a few people who spoke that they did not want it through Terriffill at all. They wanted to bypass Terriffill. I wouldn't say that was the majority opinion, but I can't speak for everyone, and it was only 40 or 50 people, so that's not hardly representative of the entire town.
Yeah, I think that's again, I wasn't there, but I failed to see the benefit of why we wouldn't connect Terriffill.
Yeah.
I mean,
I almost see it as two phases. One is to get Terriffill to Bloomfield. to me, that's a no-brainer. But the ultimate goal is to connect Terriffill and Simsbury in some fashion.
Right, in some
How we're
fashion.
going to do that, we don't know yet.
So as long as you're comfortable with that, it would not be a specific, we're not saying we have a plan in place, but that we're open to exploring this, and obviously any decisions will come to this board, it'll come through our planning boards, through the community for an opportunity, but they are looking for a letter of support, just that we're, and being the Bike Silver friendly community,
I was going to say, the way we started the evening out, how
Right.
really say no to that?
But before I wrote this.
Next time when you're at work till 6 o'clock on Friday, just sign the letter.
I know. I think
So
he
yes.
was surprised. He said, I was expecting to leave a message, but instead we had a long conversation. So if you guys are comfortable with that, I'll just go ahead and draft the letter. It will not commit the town in any way to a route or to even funding or a commitment on our part, but it will just simply reassert our interest in our
Yeah, it makes
stated
sense.
interest that we're still interested in pursuing this as a concept.
Yeah, conceptually, I think it's a good idea.
All right, and then the other thing, when we do open space, we'll also be looking at the Walker master plan at some point too. There's a draft out there, and if you want to take a look at that, that's posted online. Jeff is gone, but I think it's under our open space policy. If you can't find it, just let me know. That's an interesting read too. So there's a lot going on in open space. So I will turn it over to, anyone have any updates on anything else at this point? Oh, I want to congratulate Cheryl, who joined me on the Cyclothem. We just, when people think of Cyclothem, they think of Cheryl and I, and we
That's
were
right.
there.
We are
I
now.
want some visuals on that.
We are. Oh, there is a picture.
There is. No, it was a great ride. It was a wonderful thing. It was to encourage women to ride bikes. We went out.
And Cheryl just bought one.
And
there
Cheryl
you
I
go.
did.
Like,
It
and
just-
so you had an option of doing a 3-mile ride or a 15-mile ride. Cheryl and I opted for a 3-mile.
Guess which one, yeah.
Next year.
Yeah, we're working our way up to that 15. But I want to thank the bike community. It's really a lot of fun to remind folks at the end of the month we are we'll be doing the beginner's ride again. So anyone who wants to join.
Yep.
That's always fun.
And the reason I had to leave was I was running back to the Greater Hartford Invitational Track Meet, which our Simsbury girls track team won.
Yeah.
And our Simsbury boys came in 4th place. So out of 16,
Wow.
16 teams in the Greater Hartford area, they did a fantastic job. And it's one of the oldest track meets in the state, and it's very well attended. And our kids did a great job.
How did your son do? Good?
He actually came in 2nd in the pole vault. And our other, Dan Girardi of Simsbury, came in 1st. So we had a little
Really?
sweep. And the girls swept 1 and 2 also with Riley Braden and Nicole Husher.
Pole vaulting too?
And pole vaulting.
Wow.
Yes, we have a dynasty in
No,
pole
we have
We
vaulting.
actually do. Chandler Ives is pole vaulting for UConn, so we actually do
That's
have
right.
a little bit of a
We do.
great pole
Who would've
vaulting
known?
team out there.
Yep.
So congratulations.
No, it was a great meet and very well run.
It is.
It all went really
it's
well.
exciting to watch, I have to say. Yeah.
For all you dog lovers out there, the Paul Meadow Dog Park is doing Stretch Your Mutt at 12 on
mean
Saturday. Stretch your mutt. Bring out your mutt. And
Stretch or strut?
strut.
Strut.
Strut your mutt. I think this is their 3rd or 4th. It's their big fundraiser. This is how they pay for the upkeep of the park. This is how they pay for the fencing and the chips and everything. But on the heels of their big awards, so come on out. It's a fun event.
Yeah, that's this weekend, right?
It is Saturday at noon.
Saturday at noon, and Friday's the Bike Silver celebration, and a lot going on.
Plant
so.
sale this weekend too, I think. Boy Scout Hall.
And remind folks we've got the parades coming up as well on Memorial Day. So lots of good things.
Is there
coming
a
down.
ceremony for the
There will be a I guess groundbreaking ceremony.
Right,
Yes,
a
after
ceremony.
the parades, and we don't yet have the details on that, but I'm sure you'll all be invited. So once we have that, we'll pass that along to you. But we are looking forward to all that.
Yep.
So, and I think, so if there are no other reports at this point.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Pleasure as always.
Oh, we have a non-meeting.
We have a non-meeting.
Yeah.
One that,
When you leave the council,
we do that after these selectmen, very sad.
raise the situation.
Yeah, I mean, Sean, are you good with just doing the non-meeting after the Thursday meeting?
Thursday morning?